So people have asked me over and over, what do you call the car? What did you name the car? And personally, the car that I built, I haven't really thought to give it a name. I usually think of people naming their cars as something emotional, and I tend to not have an emotional attachment to the bikes, the cars that we have. It's a toy, it's a tool, it's a thing to have fun. Maybe if you're smart, it's something that you can sell and recoup some fun expenses. But um, whenever I refer to it in short, I just say I got a toy in the garage I'm going to show you, or one of these days we'll take the toy out and go do some autocross events. And so the name toy kept coming back over and over and over. So it's just a short way to refer to the car that I built in the garage. It's got the Hayabusa engine instead of having a long fucking title. I just say this, it's a toy, and that's kind of how I thought about it when I designed it. What would a 10-year-old me do as an adult with the means, with the skills? What would a 10-year-old me do? And this is what I came up with. So I thought about it, and the car actually has a meaning. It was something that I built to entertain myself. I want to have fun with something, with the skills that I've developed. And what actually ended up happening was this thing, this car, and this is the 3D printed model of it that I used as a scale model to build the full size car. The thing that ended up happening was it taught me. This project taught me about suspension. It taught me about standalone ECUs. It taught me about fuel systems. Everything that you have to understand building a car by hand, developing your own from scratch, you will learn it or you won't finish. And so I thought, wow, that reminds me of a movie. So I go digging through our old DVDs. DVDs just to show you how old we are. This is a movie from like 1982. How fitting I've called that car the toy. In this movie, Richard Pryor was hired to be basically a fun thing, a toy, an entertainer for the wealthy kid. So the father says it's your responsibility to basically look over my kid because I don't have time to deal with him every day. And at the end of the movie, this guy who's put through all sorts of hell with the spoiled kid, he ends up teaching the child and the father how to have a relationship. So the thing that you bought to entertain you, the thing that you bought to be used at your whim, your pleasure, ends up teaching you something. That's exactly what happened with my car project. I knew I was going to have to figure shit out, but I didn't expect to become a student of it. And that's the only way it was going to go together. So if there's a name for this, an official name, an emotional name, I would call it the toy, because much like the movie, I learned a whole lot getting this thing done.
With SEMA just a few weeks away, Mike was ready to start the car for the first time and work on any fine tuning that would be needed before the show. However, when he tried to start the car, it would not. For a couple weeks, he chased the issue from changing coils and injectors and batteries, but none of these were the culprit. Since our main tuner is now a bit busy in his own career, we were recommended another tuner, Brian, to help diagnose the issue using the Max ECU logs. After a few days of trying to start it, sending logs, and talking with the tuner, he suggested triggering an oscilloscope from the Max and sending it to him to decipher. And
Hello. Yay!
So describe what just happened from the beginning.
Well, he's been working for like what was it, a week and a half now, trying to start it. 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't start, and so we had to call another tuner. and find out, see if we can rent some logs. So sent a number of logs, and then sent, what was it that we sent yesterday? A snapshot of something.
We went to the diagnostics and had to send an oscilloscope to see if there was anything that was wired incorrectly. So there's a trigger oscilloscope function there, and the conclusion was that the crank position sensor, the blue and green wire, which is very common with the Suzuki, there's a blue and green wire for the crank position sensor, it was reversed. And the reason it was reversed is because I think I used a harness part from a Gen 1 Hayabusa as opposed to a Gen 2. And so, though I wired it correctly, the connector was wrong. So I had to go in there and swap that. And then
Turns out, Mike did not have the wiring flipped. This is the Gen 2 Hayabusa wiring harness diagram, and it itself is counterintuitive. Blue goes to green, not green to green, and blue to blue, as you would think. So Mike swapped the harness connection to the sensor, and voila.
So today, what happened? What did you do? What exactly happened?
I sat in the chair, and you told me to put the clutch in and press the starter button, and I did, and it started immediately. You adjusted the idle, and that was it. Yay! Good job, honey. So excited for you.
Now we can go use this.
Yeah! Oh boy.
Okay. All right, so we'll end the video there.
Next, Mike wanted to check to see if the tires would spin and if it would shift.
Forward. Let off. Off a tiny bit, back in. Come out. More. Put it back in neutral. Yeah, go back in neutral. Now we get to see if anything's leaking. Push the brake off. Okay. What do you think?
That was one heck of a shift. Bam! First gear.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Man, I ain't the one. 10, 9, 8. Frontin' like you on my level, boy, you ain't the one. Copy